Yesterday we went and saw Condemned 2, and I hadn't actually seen it yet. I know they had showed it at E3, and I think just before E3 there was a press event or something.
It was basically
like
E3. They showed it at Leipzig, but it was the same thing as E3.
Okay.
So they've kind of been showing the same demo around a few times.
Yeah.
Focusing on like investigation, which I think looks really cool.
I played the first game. The forensic stuff was all right. It looked cool, but it was mostly context sensitive, so it didn't feel like you were really actually solving a crime or doing anything like with your brain at all.
Right.
And that's, I think, the part that they fixed.
Well, and they made it optional. So not only is it much more difficult to kind of figure these things out, but you can choose whether you want to do most of these. They're saying like 80% you don't have to do or something like that.
Right.
So I think that's cool because like you can play it slower if you want, or you can just kind of play it like a beat 'em up if you want to do that.
They make it kind of like a quiz game.
Yeah, there's someone talking to you.
Right. Someone's like, hey, what do you see over there? And you're like, I see a dead body. And they're like, well, is it, explain. So you say like, oh, it's a man, it's an adult male, and he's wearing a police uniform, and there's a bit of blood down there, and then they give you some points based on how well you can, basically verify the information that's in front of you. And then at some point, in the old game, they would have, forced you to pull out your black light and like look at the ground and check out, the whatever residue of the blood bath that had been cleaned up from there. But in this game, basically, you have to pull out the right tool at the right time.
Or you could just guess if you want and see
Right.
how you get there. And it doesn't really hurt you most of the time because it's mostly just for upgrades that you get extra like bonus points for solving these things.
The most interesting thing about the game, though, is what they've done to the melee combat.
I disagree. I think the investigation stuff is the most interesting, but go on.
Okay, well, I disagree. I'd rather the combat be fixed, have that part of the game, the majority of the game feel good, and then I think it's just a bonus that the forensic stuff is fixed. I think that's what's going to set it apart. The old game, the melee combat felt good, but you had to use environmental weapons. You had to go up to a wall and pick up a pipe, or grab a 2x4 and use that. You can never fight with just your hands. So they thought that was stupid, and I thought that was stupid, and they added it in. Really, when you're looking at it, it looks like a brawler. It looks like Final Fight or Streets of Rage, but in first person and 3D, I think.
I wouldn't quite go that far. It definitely is more of a brawler than it was before. I wouldn't say it looks like those games, because those games were so much more like fast-paced, I guess, and more combo-driven, whereas here, yeah, you have combos, but that's not like all you're doing.
I don't know. I feel like left trigger and right trigger are left and right punch. It's very pattern based, so you could play it as quickly as you might play one of those old games.
It's also really cool you can just kind of come upon enemies who are fighting each other, or like two enemies will be fighting you, and one guy will take like a wide swing and accidentally take out the guy next to him and stuff like that.
And then that guy will punch him, because he just got punched. Yeah, it's cool. I like it. It's more sandboxy. I think the AI actually looks pretty cool, and the way that the characters animate after they've been hit, like if you knock someone back, they'll like kind of roll over and scamper a little bit to get back up, or the way that you can like kind of pop their arm out of the socket, and then they'll like try to get their arm back in the socket before coming to fight you again. It's different AI than what you're used to in shooters. And there are different modes. There's going to be a multiplayer of some kind. There's this thing called the Fight Club which is Hobo Fight Club. It's cool. It's like little arenas. You can stand and fight the AI. There's different rule sets in place for the various arenas that you might enter. It's a single player thing. I don't know how much it's going to add to the gameplay, but I'm not angry that it's there.
I wouldn't look to it for a reason to buy the game or anything. Like, don't expect it to be this big thing, and you'll probably enjoy it a lot.
So anyway, that plus the multiplayer plus a good single-player game that definitely seems to build upon the first Condemned. I think it's a pretty good package.
Yeah, when I had seen it at E3, I had thought, the investigation stuff was pretty interesting, but it mostly felt like just more Condemned. Obviously they're going to make it longer because everyone's complaining about that. But now, more recently, what we've seen, it feels like it definitely looks better than it did before. It feels more like a real sequel. There's more to it. It's not just more of that game. It's kind of establishing itself, which is cool.
And I'm glad that it's not coming out this holiday season. Obviously, it's not done yet, and it couldn't come out. But I'm glad it's coming out the beginning of next year. That's we just don't know that many titles that are coming out in that time frame yet. And so hopefully it'll fit right in.